Far beyond the edge of known space, at the distant rim of the galaxy, a small alien science vessel drifted silently through the cold darkness. Its sensors, tuned to pick up even the faintest anomalies, suddenly registered something strange. A weak, fractured signal unlike any the crew had encountered before. It was old, very old. The signal pulsed in a repeating pattern, irregular yet deliberate. It wasn't a typical distress call or beacon. It felt ancient, like a whisper from a forgotten era. The strange, broken transmission carried sounds and words no one on board could decipher. But it was clear, the message had traveled from far beyond the explored galaxy. Captain Kath, a sharp-witted alien with a mind tuned for patterns, leaned over the console and studied the readings. "This isn't random noise," he said quietly, but with urgency. "It's a message, deliberate and ancient." The crew gathered in the control room. A ripple of unease passed through them. The unknown had always held danger, but this was different. This felt like the past reaching forward. They followed the signal. The ship glided into a region of space darker than any they had charted. No stars lit the void. No planets orbited. Only silence, broken by the soft hum of engines and the distant pulsing beep of the repeating signal. As they approached the source, the transmission grew clearer but more difficult to decode. Symbols began appearing on their screens, alien, but hauntingly familiar. None could translate them, yet all felt a strange sense of recognition. Then the sensors found it. A colossal structure floated dead in the void. A ruined space station, blackened and scarred by the echoes of ancient war. Its architecture was unlike anything in the known galaxy. The walls bore shapes and patterns that defied classification, as if built by a civilization that saw space and time differently. Kath ordered the drones deployed. They drifted through shattered corridors and silent chambers. Machines, rusted and inert, lined the halls. Dust clung to everything, like a tomb sealed for millennia. On one wall, the drones found symbols etched deep into the metal, writing that, astonishingly, matched the oldest known Earth scripts. The crew was stunned. "How could human markings be here?" asked one officer. "This place is beyond any known human reach." Captain Kath called a meeting. "This changes everything," he said, voice low. "If these markings are real, humans were here, or at least known, long before we believed possible. But the Galactic Council will not want this truth spoken aloud." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The Council, the supreme body ruling dozens of species, controlled not just laws, but history itself. If they were hiding the truth about humanity, then that truth was dangerous. A full report was sent, but no answer came, no questions, no investigation. Only a brief, chilling order: stop all research. Then, the Council purged the report from the archives as though it had never existed. Kath and his crew were left in silence. No medals, no curiosity, only censorship. But one among them refused to let it die. Aaron, a young scientist, copied all the data in secret. He knew what censorship meant: fear, power, control. The truth about humans wasn't just old, it was forbidden. He encrypted the files and sent fragments to trusted contacts across the galaxy. In his message, one word repeated again and again: Earth. On Earth, strange things began to stir. Lights appeared in the sky. Ancient relics, forgotten and buried, began to glow softly, pulsing as if waking from a long slumber. No one knew why, but all felt it. Something vast was unfolding. Far from Earth, Kath sat at the helm of his ship, watching the stars. The signal they'd found was not just a mystery, it was a doorway, and now it was opening. The crew tried to return, to routine, but unease lingered. The signal, the station, the symbols. If humans were the first to reach the stars, builders, not just travelers, what had happened to them? Late at night, Aaron studied the data obsessively. The symbols weren't random. They were part of a language, long dead, but once dominant. He cross-referenced them with stellar maps and found disturbing patterns. The symbols matched star charts. From billions of years ago, long before any current species had even crawled onto land, humans had ruled the stars. Somehow, that truth had been buried. Meanwhile, on the Galactic Council's homeworld of Sirion, a secret meeting was held beneath the shimmering golden dome. Only the highest-ranking members attended. "What if someone else finds out?" asked one elder, his voice thin and brittle. "Then we silence them," another said coldly. They all knew the truth. Long before any present-day empire had risen, humanity had conquered the stars. But something happened, something catastrophic. Their reign vanished. Their memory erased. Not by accident, by design. Back aboard the science ship, Kath received a private message from an old friend. Encrypted. Urgent. "You found it, didn't you?" It read. "The humans were first. I got close once. They destroyed everything I had. Be careful, don't trust them." Kath stared into space. They were no longer explorers. They were witnesses, and witnesses were dangerous. Soon, signs of pursuit emerged. Silent drones began disappearing. Messages failed to reach destinations. A cold shadow began creeping toward them. Then the black ship appeared. No signals, no transponders, no name. It followed them through asteroid fields and dead sectors, always behind, always watching. Kath veered away from Council-controlled space. He couldn't risk docking. He needed help. Real help. Help from Earth. In the quiet of the ship, Aaron stared out the observation window. His voice was barely a whisper. "They were here first, and we buried them." But what Captain Kath didn't know, what none of them knew, was that deep beneath Earth's oceans, in caverns older than any fossil or city, ancient machines had begun to stir. Quietly, gently, they came to life. Systems powered down for millions of years now blinked awake, their surfaces still wet with the salt of time. Old satellites orbiting Earth began to respond. They received signals, silent, narrow-band transmissions that hadn't been used in over 1,000,000 years. The humans of today, scientists, engineers, leaders, noticed the changes, but they didn't understand them. How could they? These signals weren't from any known system or protocol, but someone had prepared for this. The humans of the past, those who built the first empires among the stars, had left messages, machines, and guardians buried in time. And now, across the galaxy, the doors they'd locked were beginning to open. Far from Earth, in the ruins of a forgotten station caught in the gravity of a dying star, a single sealed door creaked open for the first time in millennia. Dust floated like ash in zero gravity as stale air hissed through the chamber. Inside, carved in ancient glowing glyphs, one word pulsed: awaken. This wasn't just a mystery anymore. It was a resurrection. Aboard Kath's ship, still drifting through uncharted space, still hunted by the silent black vessel that never fired and never spoke, the crew began to understand that they were no longer mere explorers. They were witnesses to something the galaxy had tried to erase, and messengers of a truth too large to comprehend. In the communications chamber, Aaron stared at the screens as lines of ancient text streamed across them. The broken language. So alien and yet so eerily familiar, was aligning. Old Earth signals that should have been impossible to translate were suddenly becoming readable. Commands, messages, protocols, coming alive inside the ship's systems. It was as if the ship itself recognized the words, as if some buried part of its memory had been waiting to hear them again. Meanwhile, on Earth, deep beneath layers of stone and ocean, machines that no satellite had ever seen stirred, not with thunder, but with rhythm, a slow mechanical pulse that echoed like a heartbeat beneath the crust. Above, in the deep sea, the water began to ripple, without wind or quake, and instruments long declared dead began to broadcast again. The signals they sent matched exactly, with the frequency Aaron had just decoded aboard Kath's ship. A pulse, a call, a sync. Captain Kath stood on the bridge, watching the black ship through the rear monitors. It hadn't attacked, it didn't speak. But in its silence was something more terrifying than any fleet. "It's waiting," Kath muttered, "following us, not to stop us, but to see where we'll lead it." The crew was tense. Whispers turned to arguments. Some begged to turn, back, to surrender, to hide. But Kath remained still. Something deep within him knew. This wasn't just about humanity. It was about the galaxy, the whole truth, the hidden architects of everything, back on Earth, far from the oceans, in the frozen silence of the southern pole. A forgotten military observatory flickered back to life. Its systems, last touched generations ago, began receiving bursts of light between ancient orbital satellites. Not data, not words, patterns. Dr. Elena, a young astrophysicist tasked with restoring old equipment, was the first to notice. She stared as the signal grew stronger, a spiral pattern weaving between machines as if dancing across time itself. It didn't fit any known language. It didn't match any encryption method. But it looked familiar. She cross-referenced the signal against Earth's oldest archives, ancient carvings, early myths, prehistoric geometries, and her breath caught in her throat. This signal hadn't come from space. It had come from before Earth had countries, before it had pyramids or wars or kings. It had always been here, waiting. The awakening sequence. The transition from whispers in Elena's lab to full galactic activation was flawless. It reads like the ignition of a God engine, gripping and layered. Symbolic echoes, phrases like "We are back," "You were warned," and "return" add gravitas, like ancient incantations that ripple across civilizations. They underscore the inevitability of humanity's return. Captain Mira's role, her steady presence as the war leader grounding the chaos around her, is iconic. She's already becoming a legendary figure within the narrative. Technological superiority, the depiction of ancient systems reactivating, overriding modern tech, and working in eerie synchronization makes the humans feel truly otherworldly, as if they transcended time. If you're looking to continue or finalize this arc, here are some paths you might explore next. Galactic restructuring. Now that humanity has won, what does peace under their guidance look like? Not all alien species may accept it willingly. There's potential for rebellion or uneasy alliances. AI sovereignty versus human control. With such ancient AIs awakened, could there be tension between their goals and the current human leadership? Perhaps Mira and Elena will have to negotiate with intelligences older than recorded time. The final hidden enemy. Was there a reason humanity disappeared in the first place? Perhaps an enemy so terrifying the galaxy forgot on purpose, something even the Council feared. The Eden Protocol. Project Eden and the Sentinel class could hint at more than war. Maybe a plan to rebuild the galaxy according to ancient Earth philosophies or genetic legacies.